Hi, this is Amy with Toolbox Tarot, and I'm doing a reading for Tuesday, September 11th through Monday, September 17th, and I'm using the Slow Holler deck. And the Slow Holler deck is created by a queer Southern collective, and they've renamed a number of the cards and reordered the court cards. They're non-gendered, so it'll be interesting if we get some cards by different names. I'll just do a little shuffle clumsily, pick a few cards. I don't know if you can hear that music. I'm trying music in the background this time. Hopefully there's not some crazy interruption with an advertisement or something. You'll notice I have a new manicure. I picked up the guitar again, so no longer doing my nails, at least not for now. Ooh, here we go. Damn, which one is it? I think it's this one. Wheel of Fortune. That's funny. I was thinking about using a different deck that has really super easily interpreted Wheel of Fortune card tonight, and I thought of that card. I listened to a great podcast, Tarot for the Wild Soul. My sister, Shay, pointed it out, insisted that I listen to it, and the monthly medicine for September was really amazing. You should definitely listen to it if you're interested in tarot, because she is really insightful. And oh my gosh, this deck with the major arcana cards. Last time I used this deck, I got all major arcana cards. We'll see what we got this time. Nope. All right, well, I'm okay with that. So, let's take a look. As I've mentioned before, the major arcana cards speak to a larger journey that we're on. More personal milestones, more spiritual engagement with these cards. The numbered cards speak to ordinary life, like snapshots, opportunities for us to engage in the spirit in our everyday lives, or maybe pointing to places in our lives where we are. Oh shoot, that's not even a numbered one. That's a court card, Student of Stones. So okay, never mind. So the Wheel of Fortune. I'm going to put on my glasses. I think we had this card not too long ago. The Wheel of Fortune is the 10th card, which in numerology condenses down to a 1, which is about wholeness. And it's about pulling perspective and understanding that, right now we're really invested in what's happening now, because this is life, the moment that we have today. But if we pull back, we recognize that today, or this moment, is part of a larger picture. And so whatever it is that we're feeling, whether we're feeling like we're on the top or in the depths of difficulties, it is just a moment, and there is a larger picture that this is just a part of. So this card is speaking to the fact that we don't control everything in our lives. And it asks us to that podcast is resonating with me that I listened to yesterday, the Tarot for the Wild Soul, I think that's what it's called. I said it right when I first mentioned it. She was talking about looking at things for what they are and how that's really the path to happiness. So I feel like we can apply that concept to this card. Whether you're on the top or the bottom, opening your eyes to the situation, looking at it within a larger context, if at all possible, and working from your center. Always, as always, I have to mention that the advice of this card is to work from your center, to know what your values are, and no matter where you find yourself on the wheel, whether you're at the top, and you can imagine that if you're at the top, the only place to go from there is a little bit down, if you really are, if it really is as good as it gets. Or if you're somewhere else on this wheel, that knowing what your values are and checking in with them and being centered, you're going to feel less thrown by the spinning of the wheel, by the fact that you're moving around from top to bottom and back up again. This particular card, the Ouroboros, is telling us that it's all the same. It's all part of the same. And that these moths, I should really study what moths mean classically. But when I think about it, oh, and look there's the phases of the moon in here as well. Moths, I feel, are creatures that we're more aware of at night because they're so attracted to the light. And because they seem entranced by it. Even if it's not to their benefit, they can't stay away from the shiny thing. This thread, to me, thread's about stitching things together, but it's also about handiwork and about delicate work. So you can make things and you can mend things with it. We'll put this aside for now, but the Wheel of Fortune speaks to how we are not in charge. We're not in control at all times, and that we just have to recognize that and still be the best person that we can be in the face of things that we don't have any control over. So the Storm is card number 16. I wanted 6 is 7. So that's interesting. I'm not sure how I would add 7 in here. So I'm just going to move forward with the meaning of the card first. The Storm traditionally has the name the Tower, and it speaks to a really sudden, drastic, devastating change. So devastating, I think that word could mean exactly the way that it could be like you're knocking over a house of cards or a pile of blocks, or, you lose your job or a relationship ends. You're going to have to decide, but it's usually a bigger thing, or like a flood, for example, the storm. So, the advice of this card is recognizing that so much of what we lose in a storm is material, and we can always replace that. If we are really, really invested in the material world, and if we have not invested ourselves in our emotional and spiritual, and if we haven't invested ourselves in our emotional and spiritual lives, we're going to be more devastated by losing in the material world. So it says, if you do feel taken down, if you do feel flooded, or like the things in your life that you thought were permanent are no longer permanent, it's an opportunity to reinvest yourself in the parts of yourself that can't be ruined by a flood. Your relationship with yourself, your relationship with the things that you find important, your spiritual center. So the next card is the Student of Stones. So students, see this, isn't that lovely? I feel like the stones in this deck are very seed-like, and this is just probably why this card is a wonderful example of that. Student of Stones is usually a young person or a part of ourselves that is not world weary, part of ourselves that's enthusiastic and willing to start at ground level, and has inexhaustible interest in this particular card, in doing things correctly. Student of Stones wants to know everything about the situation. The suit of stones, the element is earth, and pardon me, I needed a sip. The element is earth, and it has to do with our bodies, the money that we make, our jobs, the material world that this is talking about. So this is a aspect of ourselves that's being called on, the part of ourselves that's willing to be at the beginning, willing to not know everything already. I've been thinking a lot about this quote I heard. It was I heard it not in its original form. It was what I heard. Did I even mention this before? I might have. I've really been thinking about it. Well, the way I heard it was, trade your cleverness for wonderment. And then I found out that it was really a Rumi quote, and the real quote is, trade your cleverness for bewilderment. So chew on that one for a while. I sure have. And it's been a fun thing to think about. And I feel like that's what's happening in this card. That if you're in this place, if you're being called on to be this person, then you're being asked to trade your cleverness for bewilderment. And I feel like that really just goes together so well with these other cards. So the Wheel of Fortune, it seems to me that this is saying, if a storm comes into your life, recognize that, yes, we're very invested in the moment, that this is the moment that we have. So it's right to be invested in all of everything that goes along with that, the reckoning that goes along with things being torn down or flooded or wrecked. Feeling that and being present with that is like having your eyes open to it and seeing it for what it is that's your job. But it's also your job to understand that this moment is part of a larger picture. And if you're down here, there's no doubt that there's nowhere to go but up. And that you can stitch your life together slowly. You can be planting seeds. And really the way to approach this is to work from the center, to know what your values are, and to trade your cleverness for bewilderment. This is kind of taking that away from you, the choice, because you're bewildered if a storm comes and wrecks everything. But this is saying, in a way, you do have a choice, because you could lay down or fight it or pretend like things aren't the way that they are, close your eyes to the truth of things, or you can be willing to be in that place and be willing to be a student and plant seeds where you are. So that's the reading for this week, and I thank you for listening. I hope this music has not been too annoying. Maybe you haven't heard it at all. I really can't tell. But thanks for listening, and I want to mention that I am starting a new video series called Dear Tarot, where I'm asking people to submit a question, and I will answer it in a video form. It would be an anonymous question. There might be a little back and forth between the querent, and me to help hone a really good, solid question. That's still your question, but I would answer it on a video like this for everyone to have an opportunity to think about it, kind of like an advice column. So I hope that you'll consider submitting a question through Facebook Messenger. And again, thank you for your time, and have a great week.